How's it going, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping out another video. Right, guys, this is a story in the Daily Star. Link in the description below, like you always do. I'm just going to do my bit at the end, guys. Let's get into it. So, UK prisons turn into a bloody battle zone with knife attacks at a record high. A record number of knife attacks is turning jails into a bloody battle zone, figures reveal. A total of 657 knife attacks took place in 2017 compared to 491 in 2015, a jump of 34%. Weapons used include homemade shanks and lock knives flown in by drones. The violence is linked to gang warfare and fueled by the drugs trade behind bars. Glenn Travis of the Prison Officers Association said these figures show how violence is escalating. They highlight there are more assaults and these involve deadly weapons such as knives. One theory is that knife use is more common outside and inmates bring this attitude into jail. Knives are horrific in jails and I fear that a prison officer may be murdered. It has reached epidemic levels in prisons. In July 2017, a prison officer from HMP Wayland, Norfolk, was taken to hospital after having his throat slashed with a homemade blade. The stats mirror the surge in violent knife crime in the UK. This year has seen a wave of deaths involving knives, including 17-year-olds Jodie Chesney, rest in peace, and Yusuf Maki, God bless him, may rest in peace. Yusuf Maki was up near Altrincham, God bless his soul. The figures also show a rise in the use of blunt instruments used as weapons, including pool balls and tins of tuna wrapped in socks. They were 937 in 2017 compared with 666 in 2015. The overall number of assaults using weapons in 2017 was a record 6,715. Use of dangerous liquids such as scalding, which is water and sugar, which is nicknamed napalm, also increased with 333 attacks in 2017 compared to 193 2 years earlier. Ministry of Justice figures show total attacks in jails rose to a record of 31,025 incidents last year. This was almost twice the levels recorded in the year to March of 2008. A prison service spokesman said, "Violence in our prisons is unacceptably high, driven by illegal drug use, which is why we are spending, 70 million on measures such as body scanners and sniffer dogs and have recruited 4,000 more prison officers in the past few years." That's the story, guys. Now, it sounds like either the journalist, who's a very good journalist, I interact with him on Twitter, has done an FOI, which is a Freedom of Information request, where he can write to the Ministry of Justice and say how many knife incidents was there in the prisons in this year, and they'll give the information. But it's my opinion that Glenn Travis, who is the second in command of the POA, or the Prison Officers Association, who are anti-prisoners and only care about prison officers, and the reason that this story's here, and Glenn Travis, have you noticed how they haven't spoken to a convict? Right? They haven't spoken to a former prisoner or a prisoner or a prisoner's family member. They've just spoken to, normally you get conflicting arguments, you get a for and against, right? In this story, you've just got a one side of a story, Glenn Travis, and the fact is, the Prison Officers Association, guys, in a nutshell, what they want tasers, yes, you heard it, tasers for their officers. Tactical use of tasers. Now, you might be surprised to hear, or you might already know, that the Nationals, or the NTRGs, the National Tactical Response Group officers, in other words, the specialist officers of the prison service, the bullies that want to go in mob-handed, the leader of the POA, Mark Fairhurst, the scumbag who works at HMP Liverpool, he's an NTRG officer, or we call them tornado squad officers, right? What they want tactical use of tasers for prison officers in prisons, right? They contributed to record levels of violence in prison. You might think, well, how does that work? They're there to stop it, right? Number one, the Prison Officers Association lobbied for the smoking ban, right? So you've got prisoners that have used tobacco for decades and probably centuries as a coping mechanism to deal with stress. If you're stressed, you're going to smoke more. Prisoners are there just like sleeping the jail away, getting off the nut, doing what they're doing, right? But tobacco is a stress relief. It's also used as currency, right? They then want to poke prisoners with a stick, and then because by taking the smoking off the prisoners, because they lobbied for it, even going as far as threatening to pull a judicial review of the prison service and Her Majesty's Prison and Probation Service and the MOJ to fast track the smoking ban to come in. Right? In doing so, they're rattling the cage of the prisoner. The prisoner then bites, and they say, "Oh look, violent offender, violent offender." That has contributed to record levels of violence in our prisons. And you might say, well, how? So, when you ban something, i.e. smoking, right? So tobacco is contraband, it's not allowed. What happens? Does it disappear off the face of the earth like, oh, there's no tobacco? No, it gets pushed underground. What happens when it goes underground? The price goes up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times what it did before. That incurs debt. Where you've got debt, surprise, surprise, you've got fear, intimidation, bullying, and violence, right? And then on top of it, some of these weapons that are coming in, and some of this contraband that's coming in, like I say, they're blaming the drugs and stuff for fueling the violence. They're going on, oh, it's drones that are delivering the weapons. Certain prisons, drones wouldn't work because they haven't got a window. I mean, you can drop them on the yard and other ways. People are throwing rats over now. Used to be tennis balls, coming in through visits. Everyone knows different ways it's coming in. But the avenue that they never mention, prison officers. Oh yeah, surprise, surprise. Prison officers. The amount of prison officers that are bringing contraband into jail is through the roof. Like I say, that then fuels the cycle of violence, because where you've got contraband, you've got debt. Contraband is everything from SIM cards, mobile phones, drugs, new psychoactive substances like spice, tobacco. Where you've got contraband, you've got debt. Where you've got debt, you've got fear, intimidation, bullying and violence. So the Prison Officers Association lobbied for the smoking ban. Then violence increased. They've used that increase in violence to carry out banned industrial action, only sitting down when they got a pay rise, rigid bar handcuffs, and palaver spray. The Nationals, the NTRG officers, in I think it was August or September of 2018, it was noted that they are now trained and have possession of tasers, but they're not authorised to use them. So let's think of that. So they're trained to use them, they're armed with them, but they're not authorised to use them. So why would you arm somebody with something they're not authorised to use? Prison Officers Association, this story, what it's doing when there's violence in prison, and like I say, violence isn't just down to drugs. Yeah, it does go on because of drugs. Like I say, you've got drugs, you've got debt, you've got fear, intimidation, bullying and violence. Mental health plays a significant part as well. You get prisoners that lash out of officers. Sometimes it is like without provocation. Other times the prisoner has been given a kicking by the screw, or 2 or 3 screws. The prisoner's got a long memory, targets the officer. Then you've got prisoners that have got severe mental health issues who are being thrown drugs and offered drugs and getting in debt. Yeah, I'll pay you. They're not with it. I'll pay you. It gets doubled, it gets trebled, it gets quadrupled. Next minute, people are in your cell fucking filling you in. It goes on, guys. But like I say, violence is a bit. Then you've got gang violence, you've got turf, you've got beef on the streets that goes into jail. Prison's more lawless than it is out here, and you've seen the state of the fucking streets out here. Crimes are going unsolved and even uninvestigated. Community police stations closing down. Youth services have been cut. More people being born into abject poverty because these fucking dilly-dallying, self-serving millionaires MPs who are fucking fiddling the taxpayer, right? People with more money than they know what sense. They've got they've got millions and millions and millions and millions and trillions of money in the bank. What do? They hide it in offshore accounts so they don't have to pay tax, called a tax loophole or a tax haven. But yeah, it's all down to us at the bottom of the fucking scale. More people born with mental health issues. Like I say, it's a violent society, guys, and with community police stations closing down, youth services cut, more people with mental health issues, more people carrying knives, whether it's paranoia, whether it's beef, whether it's drug wars, gang wars, postcode gangs, drugs trade, many different reasons swirling on. It's too complex, And this is what flows from that. And the fact is, it's a green light for criminals to commit offences on the out. Community police stations have closed down. The youths are running feral. Criminals are running feral. I mean, and then they're talking about violence in prison. They don't give a shit about prisoners. Like I say, sadly and tragically, we had the murder of Stephen O'Donnell. God bless his soul. May he rest in peace at Risley in late January. My thoughts and prayers obviously still go out to his parents and stuff and his friends and his family. God bless his soul. But this is the reality of prison. People go to prison to be rehabilitated. People are picking up mental health issues or being diagnosed with mental health issues. They are becoming addicts as well. They are getting involved in serious situations and stuff. And like I say, what we do as men, we do the whole macho thing. Oh, prison's easy. Prison doesn't bother me. Prison affects everybody. The only people that aren't affected by prison, it's probably a welcome release, is if you've been living on the streets, it's pissing it down, it's freezing cold, you're getting your head down in shop doorways, you don't know where you become addicted to drugs because it's a coping mechanism, because you've had an hard life to get you through the day, to alleviate the boredom. You've got no friends, you've got no family, you're living in a shop doorway, it stinks of piss, you've got dirty clothes on, you going around the streets doing what you got to do to get your next hit. You get arrested, you end up in prison, you've got 3 meals a day, drugs on tap, and that's probably a welcome thing because it's better than the alternative. If you go to prison, you've got a missus and kids and a job and prospects and family and friends and a good social network and somewhere to live, right? Prison fucks with your head, man. Anyone that goes to prison that says they haven't got down and it hasn't got to them, they haven't cried, they haven't got upset, they haven't got angry whilst they're in prison at their situation, is a fucking liar. I've seen relationships break down. I've seen women use their kids as weapons because the fella's in jail and they've had an argument on the phone, and the first thing out of her mouth is, that's it, you're not seeing the kids, that's it, I'm going to be shagging tonight, I'm getting big black Delroy around to rip me fucking in two, do you know what I mean? It goes on, guys, yeah. And like I say, the amount of people that have smashed up prison phones, people that have smashed up the pads, people that have just put a foot through the telly because the bird sent them a Dear John letter, or they've just told them that they're shagging a mate, or they've been lied to by the bird and stuff. The stress and the paranoia that comes on with a relationship whilst in prison is astronomical, guys. Massive. How many people have lost relationships whilst in prison? How many people have had arguments whilst in prison? Put your comments in the comment section below, because I know there's fucking loads of you. But going back to the violence, guys, violence happens for many, many different reasons. And you're locking up very volatile, a lot of mentally ill prisoners as well in the system. You add in drugs to that, you add debt to that, you add rival gang members into that fucking environment. You're locked together in a small, confined wing, right? Paranoia starts to play in, right? You've got to have eyes in the back of your head, yeah? Someone might try rob from you, you've got to step to them. Someone drops it on your toes, you've got to go for them, as we call it, on sight them, right? So there's a lot of different things at play. And for me, we should be decreasing prison numbers, freeing IPP prisoners, stopping mentally ill people going to prison, because the fact is they're going to prison to be rehabilitated, which we all know is a made up fucking word, and are leaving with addictions, the mental health's deteriorated worse, or as we've seen in the past few weeks, prisoners are leaving prison in body bags. And the prison officers, they didn't say, oh, we're bothered about prisoners getting murdered. No. They're bothered about prison officers being murdered. This is why I speak out for prisoners, because the POA, you've got the Prison Officers Association speaking up for prisoners, prison officers even. You've got the Prison Governors, PGA, Prison Governors Association, speaking up for prison governors. Yes, you've got the Howard League for Penal Reform, Prison Reform Trust, Prison Education Trust, etc., right? You've got Inside Times, you've got all these other like outlets and stuff. You've got POPs as well, Partners for Prisoners. There's a lot of different things going on, but like what we need is ex-cons speaking up for ex-cons. I'd love to get hold of the prisoners that are inside the system and send me videos. What I'd love to do is I'd love to get 30-second videos or minute videos from prisoners, right? If you've got a loved one in prison and they've got a mobile phone and it's got a camera, get them to send me. I'll put my number in the description, right? Get them to send me footage from inside prison, or not even, not footage. Let's get videos with prisoners. Cover the faces, right? Or I can blur the face out, right? I would not put, obviously, if a prisoner's doing doing me a video about what's going on within prison, how they change the system, what what a fucking, like a day, a regime is like on a wing in different prisons up and down the country, so I can give it to the subscribers. I'll blur the prisoner's face, and you can hear the voice. It'll be from inside the jail, and I'd like to put a little like a compilation of all the clips together and put them on my channel so people can see. I'm for prisoners, and I'll keep speaking up for prisoners. And you know what? I nearly closed my fucking channel down, right? And then Wayne Urran, God bless his soul, right? Severely mentally ill man who took his own life in Wormwood Scrubs. I learnt about his tragic suicide because I've got a very good prison contact. I won't go into that. And I got his suicide out, and I got his name in the media. And the only reason I go to the media with the name is because the prison would happily love it if that prisoner's name never saw the light of day. I won't allow that to happen. Before prisoners were ever fucking offenders, they've first been victims. We've grown up in care, physically abused, sexually abused, emotionally abused, care leavers. Do you know what I mean? Parents who are addicts. We've had shit lives. We've battled. We've not had the same level playing field as everybody else. People see the offending, but they don't see the root cause of offending. A lot of these people have been victims of their own life, victims of circumstance. That's the way it is. Gonna leave it there. Like, comment, subscribe, comment. Cody out.